What's up, Joe? What's up, everybody? We've arrived at the Sweet 16 of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, and our man LDub is looking good. He has 14 of the 16 teams in his bracket, and he's about to tell us which teams he believes will advance to the Elite Eight. So hang with us. We're coming right back with NCAA basketball and LDub on Sports 360. Well, we have reached the Sweet 16 of the 2019 NCAA men's tournament, and we have on the phone with us our man LDub to come and talk about the games that were and the games that are on tap beginning on Thursday. LDub, how you doing today?
I'm great today, Jeff. And yourself?
I'm doing great too, man. We've gotten through halfway of the tournament, right? We've gotten through 2 rounds, and we're now at the round of Sweet 16. And, I still have your bracket in front of me, and your bracket's looking pretty good, man. You got 14 of the 16 teams that are still alive in the tournament. How you feel about that?
I'm good with it, man. And the ones that didn't, I'm not disappointed. They played hard and they gave a valiant effort. But, hey, that's why it's called a game must be played, man, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. You never know what's going to happen. But, I saw something the other day, LDub, where they said this was one of the few times where all of the top 3 seeds have made it to the Sweet 16. I mean, it's happened before, but it hasn't happened in a while. So, those teams at the top of each of the regions have been successful. And so we're seeing, the top 3 seeds in each region making it to the Sweet 16. So we got some powerhouse teams that are going to be playing, in this next round. And so we want to run through them and get your picks for each of the games that are on tap. And why don't we start in the East? And we'll just start with Duke and Virginia Tech, and then we'll go on from there, okay?
All right. Sounds like a plan to me, man.
All right. So what do you think about Duke and Virginia Tech?
And Duke actually got through a scare right there. I really think UCF outplayed them. However, whenever you got Zion Williams on your team, good things seem to always happen. Now they're going up against Virginia Tech, who they didn't have an easy game, but it wasn't as tough as the Duke game. And I really think Virginia Tech's going to come in a little less antsier and a little more prepared than Duke, because I don't know how you can prepare Duke any better than I guess Coach K does prepare them for a game like a UCF, when he knew he was playing one of his the coach was one of his former players, and what former player wouldn't want to beat their own coach, at the game. So, again, I can't see Duke being more prepared, but if they play the way they played against UCF, Virginia Tech's going to take care of them.
And let me ask you a question about Duke. Do you think there's an over-reliance on Zion Williamson?
It's too much. I mean, you take this kid off the floor, and it proves in the games that they played. It's not like I'm making this analogy on my own. I saw the games that he missed, and they really don't know who they're going to go with in those situations. But when he's on the floor, it's easy for any coach to determine, hey, just get the ball to Zion, get out of his way, and let him do what he do. And it usually works out that way. But he's going to be playing against, Virginia Tech, who has a center in there called Blackshear. This kid is pretty good at, defending the ball, defending the basket, and, playing on the ball. So we'll see. We'll see if he can escape the claws of the Virginia Tech Hokies.
So who do you have in that game?
I got Virginia Tech. I'm telling you, I think Virginia Tech will upset them.
Okay, so you got Virginia Tech over Duke, and that's your first pick. And so let's move on in the East, LSU and Michigan State.
And again, I got LSU because the inside play of LSU is so consistent. It's been consistent, and the guard play is great. You know, they got guards that can penetrate, shoot, make basket, make big plays, and I think they have a defensive matchup that fits for their schemes against a team like Michigan State. Michigan State relies a lot on their point guard, and when he's flowing, he's flowing. But because LSU has such big guards that can play defense and big guys that can protect the goal, it's going to be hard for Winston to actually penetrate all the way to the basket and score the way he's been doing.
Okay, and so in that one you have LSU.
And I do have LSU.
Okay. All right. So let's move down to the West. And first game up there is Gonzaga and Florida State.
Coach Hamilton has Florida State playing real well. The length, what they did to Ja Morant was almost, perfect. I mean, they took the ball out of his hand. When he got to the goal, he had to go against 7-footers. It was hard for him. And again, they have scorers. So I'm picking Florida State to do the same thing against Gonzaga. Gonzaga got a lot of athletes, but they really don't have the size that Florida State has. And Florida State has athletes and size, and they definitely have scorers. They got a guy that comes off the bench. Their leading scorer does come off the bench, and he's averaging like 19 points a game, and that's coming off the bench. So they have a bench, they have firepower, and they definitely have the defense. So I'm picking Florida State.
Okay. Now, in those first three games, Duke, Virginia Tech, LSU, Michigan State, and Gonzaga, Florida State, you had those exactly, right? Both teams making it to the Sweet 16 in each one of those matchups. Our next one, Texas Tech and Michigan, you actually had Texas Tech and Nevada. But
cool.
Let's look at Texas Tech and Michigan. How do you see that game?
Again, I figured whoever won out of Michigan and out of the Michigan or Nevada games, whichever game they played, would be able to beat Texas Tech. And I still feel the same way. I feel Texas Tech had probably the easiest ride to the Sweet 16, and either one of those teams would. So by taking Nevada, now that Michigan has beat them, I still believe Michigan can beat Texas Tech. So I'll have to go with. I'll have no choice. I will go with Michigan.
Okay, so we have Michigan over Texas Tech. All right, so now we're going to move over to the Midwest, and we're going to start with Houston and Kentucky. And Kentucky got past your upset special in Wofford. So talk first about, why don't you talk first a little bit about the Wofford, Kentucky game? What did you see there? And then give us your pick for Houston and Kentucky.
Okay, first out, a shout out goes out to Wofford for even, getting that far, because no one picked them to probably beat Seton Hall. Everybody probably thought they wouldn't beat Seton Hall. And then to definitely give Kentucky a run for their money, I mean, including yourself, I think you guys were all amazed. And in that game there, had the leading scorer, had he just hit, let's just say if Fletcher McGee had hit 2 3-pointers, nothing else changes in the game. He just hits 2 3-pointers. They win the game. I mean, and anyone to say that day, Wofford didn't follow the game plan and didn't have a plan to beat Kentucky, they wouldn't be talking basketball. They would be talking something else. Because those guys came on the court, they did what they do. And I told you before the game, they shoot the ball. And everybody played well. I think they got a couple calls that didn't go their way simply because they were Wofford and the other team was named Kentucky. And I'm not making any excuses. I'm just saying, as a basketball fan, coach, just someone who's watching the game, I think a lot of the calls that should have went their way didn't, and they still fought through it. No complaining or anything. They just fought through it. So, again, shout out to Wofford, and hopefully next year they'll be back. As far as Kentucky, I mean, they did what they had to do to win the game. They made shots down the stretch. They came back because they were actually trailing with about 2 minutes to go, and then they did whatever they needed to do to win the game. So, hey, hats off to Kentucky. But now they're matching up with a team that I told you about from the beginning of the season. I think playing best basketball of any team in college basketball. The only team that I would even come close to say, we'll talk about them a little later. But this team right here, the Houston Cougars, are playing well. And they're a team no one wants to see right now. And they pose the same problem Wofford posed to Kentucky. They have a lot of three-point shooters. And if they make the three-pointers and they keep hustling and get loose balls and they have offensive rebounds like they've been having in the game, they will beat Kentucky. And I'm quite sure Coach Sampson has already told them those are the things they're going to have to do to win the game. So I'm taking Houston over Kentucky in that one.
Okay. And Houston, I mean, they have that experienced backcourt too, man, which I think really matters, and especially against a young team like Kentucky, we should see how that plays out. All right, so you have Houston over Kentucky in that game in the Midwest. The second game in the Midwest, North Carolina and Auburn. How do you see that one?
Auburn's not even supposed to be here, to tell you the truth. Auburn was supposed to lose to Kansas, but however, they're here. Well, actually, they were supposed to lose to New Mexico State, but they're here. But prayers can only be answered so many times in a row, man. You can't depend on prayers every day. You're going to have to go out and do something on your own. North Carolina is that team, I'm telling you, the only other team I think they're just as well coached and well of a team as Houston is, but they have a little bit more athleticism and size in their favor. And these guys played a perfect game the other day. It was almost perfect when they beat Washington, and I feel they'll have an easy win over. I can see a double-digit win easily over Auburn for them.
Okay. Now, you actually did pick Auburn, to beat New Mexico State.
I did.
And also to beat Kansas.
If they played up to their potential, they played leading, up to the Southeast Conference tournament. But they didn't. They didn't come out playing that way. And I tell you, I made my bracket as soon as the board came out. I had the bracket, so you're only thinking that they're going to continue playing that away. And I did pick them because if they play up to their potential, they could beat all those teams. But even when I did pick them, and I got to North Carolina, it stopped right there. I mean, well, it stopped somewhere, and that's where it stops. I mean,
gotcha. Right. Okay. So you got North Carolina over Auburn. Correct. And then we move to the South, and we're going to start with Purdue and Tennessee.
Purdue, my heart goes with Purdue because my kid Carson Edwards plays for them. But we're talking about giving an honest opinion. The honest opinion right now is Tennessee went through their scare when they played Iowa Saturday, and that was their scare. But now I think they're focused, they understand, and with Schofield and Williams, I think it's just a little too much for Purdue. Schofield's strong, and he'll be going up against the 7-footer that Purdue has. I don't think he has the strength or the speed to stick with Williams when he gets him on the low post and he does move toward the basket or baseline. He's too quick. And he's going to score the basket easily or he's going to foul the kid out. Either way, he's going to be on the bench a long time with anywhere from two early fouls or 3 early fouls, and he's going to have to sit the bench, and Williams is going to have his way. So I picked Tennessee over Purdue.
Okay, so you have Tennessee there, and then our last game in the South is UVA and Oregon. Who do you like in that one?
I'll like UVA simply because they've been through their scares now, so now they can kind of relax. And I'm not saying relax as like we don't have to get out there and play. They can relax from the scare because the last few years they've exited first round and second round. So Now they're past that, they can kind of breathe a sigh of relief, and they can actually get back to playing basketball. Because they had two of the lowest point total performances that they've had all season long, the last two games against Oklahoma and against Gardner-Webb. I mean, it just wasn't Virginia basketball. For some reason, they were stagnated and they was playing to the other team's rhythm. But now I think they're probably going to be on their rhythm. Not taking anything from Oregon, but one of their best big guys, Bowl is not playing. And without that shot blocker down there, just, being able to shot block and score, that's a big part of their offense and a big part of their defense that's on the bench and won't play. So I give the edge to Virginia.
Okay, so and that's the entire bracket as of right now. So to run through them again, you have Virginia Tech over Duke, LSU over Michigan State, Florida State over Gonzaga, Michigan over Texas Tech, Houston over Kentucky, North Carolina to take out Auburn, and Tennessee and Virginia to prevail against Purdue and Oregon, respectively. So that's how you're calling it. And for those who might have missed it, you came into the Sweet 16 with 14 of the 16 teams in your bracket, and you had 6 of the 8 matchups right on point. So doing pretty good, LDub, doing pretty good.
I thank you for that, but the players are doing all the work, man. I'm just sitting here making the opinion, man.
Yeah, but you know what? I tell you this right now, there are a whole lot of people who are getting paid big dollars on television and radio who are giving their opinion to, and their brackets are busted. And here you are, man. We just kicking it on this podcast, but your bracket is strong. So kudos to you as well for the way you're looking at these games and analyzing these games, because your bracket is strong.
Well, I've been around this game for about 35 years, man, as a player, coach, or mentor, or some way, a trainer, some way. If I don't have a clue of some of this stuff, I think I've wasted my life away if I didn't know it. So just by watching it, man, and I love basketball, and I love to see the way these young kids are innovating new ideas to the game. I've never been and never will I be a fan of teams that only shoot threes, but if you have shooters that can shoot threes and they make threes, hey man, that's a hard combination to beat. And I know it personally as well as, watching it on TV. But a whole lot of twos beats a few threes any day of the week. So I think once these kids start to know when and where to shoot 3-pointers, it's a lot of teams that's going to be in this tournament that have never made this tournament. And believe me, it's not much of a difference between a mid-major D1 and a top-level D1. It's really not a lot of difference. I think the challenge comes with, the coaching. You get the coaches that are able to allow the kids to do what they do and consistently, set the offense and the defense the way it works for the kids, for the betterment of the kids, should I say. And those are the teams that seem to always be there. You take the Michigan States, the Dukes, the Virginias, the North Carolina. Hey, the system is in place. They go out and get the kids to fit in their system, and they all play that system, and it works for them. So when you get more coaches that can do that, because at college level you can go out and select the kids you want, but you got to have the right system for those kids. So that's all I have today, Jeff. And
all right, I
appreciate everything, man. And I'm looking forward to Thursday and Friday, man, to watch these games.
Yeah, so am I. And we'll reconnect after the Friday games, and we'll take a look ahead at the Elite 8. But LDub, thanks again, man, for coming on and breaking down the Sweet 16 for us. We look forward to the games, and we look forward to catching up with you sometime early Saturday morning, and we'll look at the Elite 8.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. I'll be waiting.
Okay. Talk to you soon, LDub.
All right. Bye-bye.